Devastated by the death of her son, a local mom, Lori Lewis, is now warning other families about the addiction of heroin and opiates. She was responsible this month for bringing to local theaters a new documentary about how one community came together to fight the heroin and opiate epidemic. Here's a preview of Generation Found.
I started using when I was in 7th grade.
At the age of 12, I started smoking marijuana.
I was using every day. The last 3 years of my use, I was shooting heroin.
My mom, she was addicted to powder cocaine and she committed suicide.
A lot of times I feel like adolescents get written off.
Nothing had tackled the issue of where do these teenagers have to go.
It was so hard to try to figure out how much of this is the teenage behavior and how much of this is a problem.
We started asking questions like, where do you feel the lowest self-esteem? School. Where do you have the most access to drugs? School.
When we look at the just say no message, we can't really rely on that as an intervention because it's a much bigger problem than that.
My husband pretty much shut down. He said, close his bedroom door and do not open it. I cannot look in there.
For my son's birthday this year, I got him flowers and a balloon, and I took those out and I put them on his grave.
Every now and then a city will have this experience. It almost sort of feels like an epidemic. And all of a sudden the community kind of wakes up. Instead of ignoring the problem, we really start looking at it. And it's painful to see. I think in Houston, part of how we were able to create this beautiful continuum of care is because we just got really, really tired of watching kids die.
When I first heard of Archway, I was like, there's no way there's a school full of sober teenagers.
I would like to see it change from a look of this is just a young person to what it really is. It's our future. Won't be any legacy if we don't have anybody to carry it on.
Give them the courage to embrace who they are. They may be afraid of what comes next or confused about what direction to go. But remind them that they are surrounded by a community of recovery that will help them walk through the fear.
Just because I've not become addicted to it don't mean I don't know about it. I lived it. I'm living it.
We're not going to be able to save them all. But boy, if we could just do more. Instead of being Generation Lost and Generation X and all this other stuff we call it, man, Generation Found.
And Lori Lewis is back with us. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
What a powerful, I just seen the trailer, you know, just such a powerful documentary. Why was this important for you to bring it to the local community for other families and the community to see?
I think it's important for parents, grandparents, siblings, friends to understand that opiates and heroin are in our community. You may not see it, but it's here. And what we wanted to do is bring this movie here and let people know that it's one, okay to talk about it, you know, and try and help break the stigma. And two, show people that there are people actively working on this to help our adolescent and young adults. And those are the main reasons.
And we mentioned that because of the loss of your son is what prompted you to get involved in this. I think we mentioned it last time you were on here a couple of years ago, how difficult that must be, but how that gives you the courage to continue this fight to help other families in the community at large.
It does, and I honestly couldn't do this without his spirit and his strength and his will. But that's why I do it, is because I continue to fight the fight that he lost. And 3.5 years ago, we did not have the resources. And that's my most important message I want to get out is, don't go through this alone and fight alone. You as a parent, or not even a parent, a grandmother or a friend, or you need support to help your loved one or friend through this too. and you need tools, and you need to know how to deal with it. I wish so much people would have had that back then. I think things would have been a little bit different in the way we handled things too. So that's most important, is talk about it. You can't get help if you don't talk about it and you don't know the resources that are there, and there's so many now.
What are some of those resources available in Washington County in particular?
Sure. Well, right now, what we're trying to do is hold groups for peer recovery for parents and adolescents. And when I say all peer recovery, that means me as a parent. I am not addicted to a substance, but we all deal with it. We're also trying to get naloxone trainings into the community, and any type of resource we can. If you go online and just even Google in your area support groups for addiction, they have it all broke down into parents, adolescents, adults. Minnesota Recovery Connection, I'm volunteering with them right now. Steve Rumler Hope Foundation is another place to go for resources. So there are many groups out there. I can be a contact for anyone, to help. When somebody reaches out when they're in that moment of crisis, you have a few moments to grab them and help them, and we just want people to know that there are places.
And it seemed like in the documentary too that they're tackling it at the schools where a lot of this may start for the young people in particular.
Yes, and the most important thing that I got out of watching Generation Found was the support that those students said they got from each other, not from adults, not from their parents, from each other. So it's very important. And about 10 years ago, they started closing down sober schools in our area, and now you're starting to see them emerge again. And that's very important. And they just need whatever support. And a lot of times it starts in, middle school and high school. There's the peer pressure alone.
And you were saying also too, this isn't isolated just to young teens and young adults. It is also adults, older adults, seniors that have these addictions as well.
Yes, from 8 to 98, we see it through. Addiction does not discriminate. And when you were mentioning the older adults, having a surgery, coming out of surgery, becoming addicted, having your doctor cut you off of your opioids instead of weaning you off. There's grandmas out on the street that are looking for, because they're physically and mentally dependent on it. And so we need to do a better job of that too, is how we wean people off, after a major surgery.
You talked about your son's spirit. What would he think about what you're doing?
I think he's with me and helping me do this, which took me a long time to get there, but I think he would say, thank you, Mom, for continuing, because this is not what he wanted.
Well, final word for our viewers.
Again, I just can't stress enough to reach out for support. That's easier said than done. But there are many groups of parents out there that have kids in active addiction and are trying to be advocates, and people that have lost their sons that, or daughters, or even grandchildren that are there to support you and help you.
Well, Lori, thanks for coming back. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate that. Thanks. And we'd like to thank you for joining us again. Hope you can join us next time on Inside Healthcare. We'll see you then, everyone.